Greetings, kindred spirits. Would you believe this is like the 5th time I've tried to record this today? I just can't believe it. I've never had this problem before. It's really strange. But anyway, let's get going. Before I get into the energies of the full moon, I'd like to talk about the energies of the 1111 portal, which is building up over this last week or so, and has a great significance obviously to this full moon that occurs on the 12th, the day after. At the new moon 2 weeks ago, our minds were a little bit muddled and there was a lot going on where many of us didn't know whether we were coming or going. But as the veil has been lifting since the end of October, many of us have been getting a lot of downloads and aha moments as the brain fog has cleared and we have finally finished integrating all the downloads and ascensions from the Lionsgate portal that took place in August. And that actual Lionsgate portal, that has gone on for a very long time. So it's been a long, heavy trudge for many of us because the energies have just been so heavy and dense, causing the best of us to feel lethargic and out of sorts. But now once again we have new downloads coming in. But these downloads are much more of a vibrant and revealing energy. As the 1111 portal gate fully opens, the goddess palace of truth and clarity will be at 0 degrees in Scorpio and in sextile to the goddess Juno, which portrays to me that the rose-tinted glasses have come off for many of us and where we have become more ruthless in our search for truth. There will be no more over-analysing or overthinking with this placement, of palace, that is. And there will no longer be a self-defeating attitude. Because Scorpio represents the eye of the eagle with the ability to see things for what they are, especially when it comes to our commitments. Scorpio can be a great advocate in helping us to see beyond the veil. So many of us could be getting a lot of spiritual insights, premonitions, or experiencing astral projections at this time. Others may be having to swallow a lot of resentment, or could be feeling quite vengeful about certain truths that have come to the surface. It really does depend on where we're at on our individual paths. The moon will also be in conjunction to Uranus and in opposition to Mars on the 11th, which can cause a little bit of chaos when it comes to self-expression and freedom of will. Many will want to break the bonds of restriction, while others may want to hold on to the reins. So we must be very careful in how we express ourselves because again, karma is at play here and is rebounding back on us very quickly at this time. Although, the South Node has moved away now from Saturn, but it's still within the boundaries. So, this is not a time for one-upmanship. And sometimes we have to agree to disagree. Competitiveness is only fun when it's played light-heartedly. So we must also beware of becoming trapped in somebody else's snare. If we can stay grounded throughout this 1111 portal and beyond, then we can really achieve something wonderful. The full moon reaches its peak in Aries on the 12th of November at 13:34 in the GMT time zone, at 8:34 in the EDT time zone, and at 00:34 in the AEDT time zone. The energy of the full moon, together with the aspects on this day, shows that many situations will be coming to a head, regardless of what the environmental or societal expectations are. This is when many will finally be able to break free from situations that have become burden or repetitive. As we are faced with the truth of our situations. There will not be no need for closure or revenge if we are in a place of balance with an understanding of what being sovereign truly is. As the goddess Pallas transits Scorpio, our moon will be in conjunction with the goddess Vesta of the sacred fire, which is also pushing us to bring in a balance between our well-being and our responsibilities, which have been out of sync for quite a while. Probably a very long time for some. I think what we need to realise when it comes to the greater whole is that we are all being urged to break free from traditional societal expectations that have kept many of us stuck in unhappy and unhealthy situations for a very long time. Not just with our intimate relationships, although, that is a big part of this, but also with other external sources on the whole. Remember, we are being prepared for a breakdown of a system that is long past its sell-by date. And apart from corporate organisations, it also applies to the world of science in all its forms, as many truths will be coming to light as our minds and hearts expand. There will be some that won't want to let go of the old, but there will be many that are over ready. So a conflict can occur between the two. Again, it is so important that we look after our physical, emotional and spiritual health and find what works for us on an individual level. This is not a time to follow the crowd, but to tap into our own inner wisdom and guidance. Or at least to give ourselves a time and space to be able to allow that aspect of ourselves to unfold, especially if some of us are still experiencing some confusion and self-doubt. As the Black Moon Lilith continues to conjunct Neptune sporadically, it can still be bringing up a lot of fears of the future. But for those of us that are in alignment with our shadow, then this can be a very rewarding time. As Venus transits through Ophiuchus, it can bring about the extremes of the light and dark energies. Venus in Ophiuchus can be overbearing and smothering if we don't have our masculine and feminine energies in balance, especially since she is in square to both Neptune and the Black Moon Lilith too. Also, this placement suggests that many of us could be preparing ourselves for an ending of something that has been very burdensome. So with this Venus transit through Ophiuchus, it also suggests that possessiveness and jealousy are other factors that will no longer be tolerated by many. So on the 15th of November at 9 a.m. in the GMT time zone, Jupiter will enter into his own sign of Sagittarius at 0 degrees. So as Jupiter enters into Sagittarius, he will be in conjunction to the goddess Ceres, opposition the moon, sextile Mars, trine Uranus, and is square to the goddess Juno. So in all, these aspects to Jupiter can either be rewarding or self-indulgent, depending on our own emotional well-being or where we are at emotionally. So whilst transiting Ophiuchus, Jupiter has been working behind the scenes and brushing up on his manifestation skills and learning some new tricks of the trade, or facing up to his past overindulgences. There will also be a yod, like the finger of fate, with the goddess Pallas in sextile to the goddess Juno, and both will be in quincunx to Uranus, who is still retrograding through Aries in the true lifetime sky. So these energies altogether can be very scattered and impulsive, and create a very quick burnout when it comes to our activities or our relationships. So whatever the case, it does suggest that change or sudden endings or even some truth could come to light that could be either a nice surprise or a downright shocking revelation. Things are really speeding up now, And it is even more important than ever that we continue to work on balancing our emotional needs with our sense of responsibility, especially since we are now coming to a countdown period to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Mercury retrograde is still lacking direction, as Mars in Virgo is in opposition to Uranus retrograde in his own sign. And this is still stirring up a lot of nervous energy that can cause some of us to act on impulse rather than logic, or be a little bit too much in our heads. But not in the way it was before. This is more like plotting. If we are in that space, it's more of a plot or a scheme. So, we must make sure that we are, coming from a place of unconditional love, still working on maintaining a balance between our masculine and feminine energies, because we are all going through this big growth spurt at the moment, and there's a lot of heart chakra activity going on. So, we've still got to really put in the work. And I feel that as much as change is the name of the game under these current energies, there is also this ability to be able to achieve some rewards for all the hard work that we have put in so far. And I think many of us will already be seeing the progress of our past actions and mindset if we have been working hard on keeping that in balance, or working on elevating our higher mind, or elevating our unconditional love. So keep the faith, everybody. Peace and much love.